Good evening. Welcome to the Morrison County Planning Commission public hearing for 6/23 of 2026. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I have a few items to cover before we get started this evening. Please sign in at the door if you have not already done so. There you will also find a detailed handout of the step-by-step procedure we will follow tonight. If you wish, please take one. Please put any electronic devices on silent mode at this time. Also, please note that all testimony is being recorded for the record. Members of the Planning Commission are appointed by the County Board of Commissioners with one member from each of the 5 commissioner districts. Land Services staff is here to assist the Planning Commission with its duties. The task of the Planning Commission is to hold the public hearing and make a recommendation to the County Board of Commissioners for approval or denial of requests for conditional and interim use permits, rezones, plats, and ordinance amendments in accordance with state law and county ordinance. The burden of proving a request meets the criteria for approval rests with the applicant. There is a protocol for how we will proceed tonight. For each request on the agenda, we will hear a staff report, hear testimony from the applicants, and then we will discuss and gather more information as needed. Next, I will ask if there was anyone in the audience wishing to speak to the request. I will ask each party to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record, and give their testimony. Please be as factual as possible and direct all statements and questions to me. After all testimony is complete, I will close the public hearing portion of the process. The Planning Commission will then review and discuss the case in terms of our findings of fact criteria as required by Minnesota statute and county ordinance. We will have a series of votes, discuss whether the conditions be made, then there will be a final motion to recommend approval or denial to the County Board of Commissioners. After this final vote on your request, you may leave if you wish. The County Board of Commissioners will then consider the request and our recommendation at their next regular meeting and will either grant or deny the request. So we have one item on our agenda tonight for the Planning Commission, and it is Long Prairie Project Associates, LLC, 1280 180th Street, Long Prairie, Minnesota, 56347. If you would, somebody representing would come up here and sit up here at the front table, please, and state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Lance Muscara, M-U-S-C-A-R-A, acting as an authorized representative and consultant to Long Prairie Project Associates.
Can you pull your mic?
A little closer?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Hi, Karen Olson. I'm with the law firm of Spencer Fain, LLP, and I'm an authorized representative for the project proponent.
Good evening. I'm Nick Motu. I'm Vice President at Ascension Recovery Services, the operator.
Okay, thank you. So before we get started tonight, and this is for the public and everything here, so this public hearing tonight will not be about rediscussing and redigging into the IOP. It will be about amending and or removing 3 conditions on the original IUP dated 11/9/2021. So I just want to make that clear to the public. So we're not going to dig into it. So Amy, staff report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, again, this is a request to amend the conditions on the existing interim use permit for a licensed residential treatment center. The ordinance section that applies to this is section 506.5F, and that addresses amendments to existing interim use permits, and those do require a public hearing. Here's an aerial photograph of the property. An interim use permit was granted to the property in 2021 to establish a residential treatment center called Autumn Hills, which provides chemical dependency services. The permit was granted with 4 conditions. The first was that the property owner shall submit to the Land Services Department a written request to formally terminate the conditional use permit for an outdoor recreational facility and the interim use permit for limited rural business. The property owner shall bear the recording expense for this action. In addition, the property owner shall discontinue its liquor license, and proof of termination shall be provided to the Land Services Department. And those items needed to be done by May 9th of 2022, which they have been. The second one is the applicant, Troy Hoekstra, shall submit a written statement by January 30th of every year attesting that, one, the facility is operating as a licensed residential treatment center, and two, Troy Hoekstra is a part of and involved in the Autumn Hills facility. Three, the interim use permit for a licensed residential treatment center shall terminate when Troy Hoekstra is no longer a part of or involved in the Autumn Hills facility. And the fourth was the property shall abide by all local, state, and federal law regarding licensed treatment centers. Since the issuance of the permit, the facility has been built and furnished and is undergoing licensing through the State Health and Human Services Department. The applicant engaged Ascension Recovery Services to develop the facility. As the facility transitions from development to operation, the ownership and dynamics and structure may change. The applicant is requesting an amendment to the existing interim use permit to remove some conditions, providing them with greater flexibility as they move forward. The applicant is requesting the removal of conditions 1 through 3. Condition 1 has been satisfied and is no longer required. Conditions 2 and 3 relate to Troy Hoekstra's involvement with the facility. Mr. Hoekstra navigated the facility through development and intends to hand the administration of actual services to Ascension. He is nearing retirement and a transition plan is desired. The conditions on the permit do not allow for this to occur. Since this is an interim use permit, a condition regarding termination of the permit must apply if condition 3 is removed, so that will need to be discussed with the applicant. And then here are criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Amy. So does all that sound accurate and
It does.
to the point?
It does.
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up to the board.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Brent.
I have a couple of questions. I'm not quite sure who I'm going to address these to, but first, if Troy wants out of this, the IUP terminates, so wouldn't somebody need to reapply? Is my first question, and I think maybe Amy can answer that for me, because it's all of these conditions. If these conditions all go away, the only condition is there remain law-abiding.
Yes. And
So
if I may,
you may, or Mr. Chair,
Go
you
ahead,
decide.
yes.
in our discussions, we did kind of realize that, so we would be open to amending the conditions to revise Troy's name specifically to the applicant or the owner, so that way the conditions are still in place, but they're in the entity's name as opposed, or the applicant's name as opposed to an individual.
Okay, just to expound on that, the applicant then would be,
Long Prairie Project Associates.
okay.
And Ascension, they have been involved through the whole process, and Ascension will continue to operate the facility for Long Prairie Project Associates.
Okay, but, so if Troy is to be removed from this and LPA is to be put in here, then who is that then that would be doing the reporting once a year, where the status is, and if the facility is operating as a residential treatment center?
So it would be a representative from Long Prairie Project Associates and/or Ascension Recovery Services. So it'd be a,
Is it not to interrupt, but a title or a person? I mean, because a person changes, but here we have a person, we're removing a person, so who might that be? A title, an entity, a vice president, a corporate officer, a what?
we can have the executive director for the facility.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Clint?
Mr. Chair. So is this, it might sound like I'm getting off top a little bit, but I'll get to the point. is this up and running, or is it still in the building stage? Where are you guys at?
So construction is complete. Furnishings are mostly in. It's currently in the licensure review with the state. It has been for some time, but we are kind of out of the queue and actually in the process of the actual review of the application. So, I mean, imminent is a little bit of a broader term, but there's progress in that it is actually in review with the state for the license.
Okay. Because the reason I brought that up was when I looked through the application and I looked through kind of how originally got the IUP, I looked through the commissioner's notes, what they talked about, and I kind of read through all them and what they were concerned with or what got answered at that time. And by changing these things and these conditions, I think all of them are still met, but I think their reasoning for having Troy's name tied to it is he was the local person. They wanted to make sure that the project would be done and done right and all that type of thing. I think all the other stuff's still satisfied. It's just where we go with moving forward. Like Brent asked, who's the one that's going to be in charge to be accountable, or who would be the representative that would talk back and forth with the county and them type of things to make sure things are going the way they should go. I said, so that's probably where I'm at today, is just making sure that part goes. I think the rest of this stuff on how you got the IUP, I think it's still satisfied and still met. I think it's just assuring that we got a lead person or somebody that's accountable, and maybe that the commissioners can believe in, or the county can believe in, or whatever, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Amy.
do you have an executive director yet?
Not yet.
Okay. What's your timeline for that?
It's tied into the licensure
Okay.
approval.
Okay, so there isn't anyone, so you're handling that, and then the whole thing will get handed off to an executive director once it's all done?
Nick, can you?
Yeah, let me answer that. Typically, about 60 days prior to the licensure being in hand, we'll hire our key staff. There's 6 key staff, manager types that we bring on board. But in the meantime, there is a management team at Ascension that manages the project. Lance is part of that, I'm part of that. We've got our VP of Compliance and Licensure as part of that team. We've got our president as part of that team. So we are managing the project up until we get the license. And then at that point, we hire an executive director. We manage currently in 10 states, different facilities, and most of them we try to hire locally. So, I hope there's somebody that is qualified either in Morrison or Todd County. Now, in terms of somebody on the ground here, I live right across the border in Wisconsin, and I'd be happy to give you my name and phone number, and I can keep you abreast of progress. I mean, if that's what you choose.
Mr.
It's up
Chair.
to you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Amy, go ahead.
I think that was the whole desire,
Yeah.
was not to have some huge conglomerate that we have no idea who we're talking to, who the owners are, who the people are. And so I think it's important that if this moves forward, that the county always has someone, that a person that we can talk to that serves in some capacity, that can actually, that has some ability to speak for the group.
I agree.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Brent.
On those same lines, maybe not the proper way to say this, but one throat to choke. I mean, that's what everybody's looking for, is so that you have one person that you can contact and you can straighten things out, or you can revoke or take action, I think. And so if Troy is to be out, do we have a time frame of that? I mean, because if he is out, there needs to be that replacement. It can't have a gap and in 6 months, there's executive director A, and, so I'm not quite sure how to address that in a condition, but I think that's where I'm coming from as a member of this committee. Maybe somebody can answer that or make
mean-
a suggestion.
Go ahead.
One option may
Thanks, Brent.
be Doug Leach is the president.
So Doug Leach is an owner in Long Prairie Project Associates, and he's also the president or founder of and CEO of Ascension Recovery Services.
Is it possible to get a list of all of the owners so we know who Long Prairie Associates is as a group? Or is that like darkly guarded? Because the more haze you put over this, you know, the less transparent you are, then of course, the harder it is to swallow.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that, and we can get back to you with that information, but I also think that for right now, we could put a name in, such as Doug Leach as the president, so you have someone, and it's noted, and then we could follow up with the information perhaps prior to the county board meeting.
Yes, that would be great, thank you.
Yes, that would be very good. Thanks, Amy.
And what is Doug's title again?
So he is has an ownership interest in Long Prairie Project Associates.
But he's also CEO of Ascension Recovery Services.
Okay.
So then what we're looking at, Amy, is that would become, we would replace condition 2 with a new name for contact and that kind of stuff? Is that what we're looking at?
Well, I guess, Mr. Chair, this is your application. What are you suggesting? What are you requesting exactly?
Reporting this than me.
I mean, what we would like to is have the applicant, which is Long Prairie Project Associates, and we could have Doug Leach as CEO of Ascension Services and owner. She'll submit a written statement by January 30 every year that the facility is operating as a licensed residential treatment center, and that Long Prairie Project Associates is part of, involved in the facility. That will protect you against if there's a change in ownership.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Amy, go ahead.
As my question is, we're in this situation because Troy, an individual, isn't, so I'm kind of hesitant to name like another, like, actual individual. I'm just wondering if a title would be better, like the executive director.
I would
Because
agree.
if Mr. Leach then decides he's gonna retire or do whatever he's gonna do, then we're in the same situation. And I don't know that any of us want to revisit this over and over. And so I'm wondering if you guys would like to see something more like just like the head of the operation locally?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Clint.
I would think, in my view, is it'd be the executive of the Long Prairie project, but until that person is hired, it would be,
Mr. Leach?
yes.
Mr. Leach.
You know, because in that way, it's still, the first is directed towards who's gonna be in charge of this facility. We don't have that person yet, and that could change 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, it's always a new name, so the executive. But until then, we have to have somebody, so that would be Mr. Leach. That's how I kind of see it. I don't know what the rest of you guys see it, but.
I think that would be a good idea, Clint. To name him for now and then come in with the executive director when he comes on board.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do you have any issue with dropping condition 1?
No.
It's in the past and it's done, so I think we can take that off the discussion list. So then really what we're looking at is condition 2 and 3 then is in retooling those.
So you guys got any more comments on the applicant, executive director, and Doug Leach until that?
So,
executive director-
Mr. Chair, I think, or maybe Amy can help this, so really, we're just looking at number 2. When we get to number 3, we take Troy off of that, but then we have to come up with a new end date.
Correct.
So that would
Some
just
other-
change somehow,
Exactly.
whatever we decide, or they
It more than
decide.
likely would not be tied to an individual.
Yes.
It might be.
A title.
Ownership,
Ownership.
situation or something like that.
So basically, I see it as we're crossing off one, we're changing
Two.
to 3 is just all brand new. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, same here.
Chair.
Greg, you had something?
You want to recognize her?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
To
ahead.
address Amy's concern, one way to do it may be say that the CEO of Ascension Services and/or the executive director of the facility shall submit a written statement. That way you just have the title. But once we have the executive director, then you do have, the local person
Yeah.
would be the one to come.
Yep, I
And
think
that
that makes
might-
sense.
Then you're not putting an individual name in case that changes in 3 months.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Brent?
Maybe along that same line with that wording, would be in furtherance of that condition, as those change, the land services is notified, because CEOs can change, executive directors change, and you run your business as you do on a daily basis, and that information never gets here, and 3 years out, there's an issue, and the county has a record that's 3 years old, and it's not relevant in today. So I think there has to be a requirement for that to be updated when there's a vacancy or there's a new person as well.
So are you looking at adding, so continuing with maybe 4 conditions and the 4th one being that, that they notify land services of a change in executive director or CEO of Ascension?
I don't think it has to be a new condition. I think it can be written right into number 2.
Just that,
So they would name the executive or the CEO and or the executive director, and should that individual change, land services would be notified, if you want to put in there, within 10 days or within 30 days or something like that. So
We would
that,
agree to that.
that way they have a contact that's relevant and, timely.
Yeah, we would propose 30 days, so to your point, we'll provide the names, and then for any changes, they will be provided within 30 days for any changes.
and then looking to, Mr. Chair, looking to item 3 then, what do you have in mind for an end date? There must be an end date on this, so what do you have in mind?
We were going to recommend that when the applicant, Long Prairie Project Associates, is no longer involved in the facility, and that would also kind of coincide with Department of Human Services. Once you get your license, if there's a change in controlling ownership, which is very broadly defined, you have to go back and ask for a new license and submit. So that would coincide that essentially you would know who's still operating it
So we
or
would take,
owning it.
So, go ahead.
go ahead. So we would delete Troy out of there and put Long Prairie Associates in there.
Correct.
That would be agreeable.
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that that's something that we as land services can keep track of, because sometimes LLC structures and things might not be that, we see Long Prairie Associates, we don't see the people behind that, and I get it, and I'm sure the membership of that LLC and the owners are probably gonna come and go, and you're gonna maintain that name of Long Prairie Associates. And so I just wanna make sure that it is something that we can actually really see. So right now, the property is deeded, to Long Prairie Associates LLC. Is that the intention, that this be under, and then as partners come and go, that changes, but that name stays? Because we could have a complete turnover of people in that LLC, and it would still be under Long Prairie Associates. Are you comfortable with that?
Well, it depends on how that licensing works, because I know that's a complicated gig too. So, me personally, whatever triggers a change in the license is good enough for me for a change for the county for the interim use permit. Because that licensing is a pretty in-depth, I don't know what the gray area is on that either for the names on that license, and they would probably have a lot more expertise in that than
Yeah.
the county or us personally or whatever. So that's how I look at it. The change in the license is gonna change a lot of things, so, that's how I look at it, I guess.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Amy.
So what's your experience with that? Is that kind of how that goes? The name stays the same, but the people switch out in the background? I mean, and what does trigger a change with the state for licensure?
It can be multiple ways. It can be that because a whole new owner comes in, so Long Prairie Project Associates sells it to, say, Northland Residential,
Yeah.
and that would be one, but it also comes in what's called a controlling individual.
Okay.
And a controlling individual is essentially anyone who has an ownership interest or is in a executive management role. And if that happens, you have to notify the state.
Okay, and then the state decides whether or not that's a significant enough change where they would want relicense? Is
Yes, so
that-
you go through the licensing process again.
Okay,
So, for example, on 2.2, you could put Long Prairie, in addition to stating that it's operating as a licensed as residential treatment center, you could put Long Prairie Project Associates as a part of, involved in the treatment facility.
okay.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Brent?
I think so.
Great.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else for the time being? Open it up to public? I guess at this point, I'll open it up to the public. You come up to the podium there and state your name and address for the record. And I guess, limit your comments to what we're dealing with here tonight. So I'm going to ask 3 times. Anyone wishes to speak to this, go to the podium. Anyone wishing to speak to this request, go to the podium.
My name's Dean Robinson. You need my address, you said?
Yes, name and address, please.
18512 17th Avenue, Long Prairie. I'm a Morrison County resident. My address is Long Prairie. We got to look into the history of why Troy was put on these conditions, because he promised that this was his dream. Because his brother had drug problems. This was his dream, and the buck stops with him. As long as that place survives, he would be involved. I and the group of these people here specifically said this would happen. Troy sold us a false bill of goods, sold you guys a false bill of goods. And in a couple of years, we'd be back reviewing this and doing this again. I've been living with this property for 10 years. This has been going on. We've been promised, well, we're going to put conditions on and things will be okay. The conditions stand up. Every couple of years, we're with this property in here, asking for conditions to be removed, changed, or altered. And every single time, you guys, the commissioners, do it for them. We put these conditions on, saying this is what Troy wanted. He agreed to it. If he didn't follow it, I was promised by our commissioners that then the whole process has got to start over again. That's what we were promised by you guys, as voters, people that live in this county, people that pay tax in this county. Don't just swoop in here, make a bunch of promises, and then swoop back out again, and we paid the price. I apologize for not being as polished. I'm not an attorney, I'm not lawyers, I don't have a board to sit in front and use but when is it, as voters, as the residents of this area, when do we get to have a say? Because apparently the answer is never. On this property, it's been going on. We were promised these conditions, and when they weren't being met, we would start over. Here we are again, and you guys ask, well, who's going to be in charge of this? The answer to their question is no one. Oh, Long Prairie Associates. Oh, it might be Joe Blow. It might be Steve down the road. It might be somebody in Wisconsin. No, Troy said, I will be involved in this. If you have a problem, Dean, you call me. You don't call Long Prairie Associates, you call me. And that's what was promised. If any of the neighbors have a problem with this, Troy sat here and said, you call me. And that was one of the only reasons everybody, you guys felt comfortable, the commissioners felt comfortable by approving this, because remember back then, this was voted down by planning and zoning. It was voted down by, and then somehow it miraculously passed. So it wasn't a good idea then. Still isn't a good idea to have this facility in the middle of the country. The sheriff made that a point. The first responders made that a point. Anybody involved said this isn't the right place for this, for safety reasons, for a lot of reasons. But the big point tonight is, when are these conditions going to stand? Because they've yet to stand. Over the years, there's been so many conditions put on this property, and not one has been abided by. They've always altered them. Oh, we'll just change it, we'll just change it, we'll just change it. And then new commissioners come in, and new board members come in, and they don't know the history of this. And then, like here, we're already negotiating what works for these guys, and you haven't even heard the people that live there and are involved, and you're like, well, that works for us, well, that works for you. Well, what works for us? Why don't you ask the people that live there, what works for you? You're gonna live there next to this thing for 30 years. He's not, he lives in Wisconsin. They're not, they're all gone. When is it gonna be, you know what works for you guys? These conditions aren't being met. Let's throw it back in, start it all over, and say, you know what, guys, what works for you? Not what works for them. They're just make our money and get out of here. And if it don't make money, we'll sell it to the next guy. We'll be in here 2 years from now asking for a whole bunch of new conditions and change, saying, well, Long Prairie Associates wants to turn it in, sell it to Steve, and he wants to turn it into a whorehouse. Well, what works for you to make it a whorehouse? Well, I don't know. If we make this condition and that condition, well, then that'll work. I guess, yeah, that works for us. No, the conditions are there. Please just stand up for once on this property and say, you know what? Enough's enough. We put conditions on the thing, start over, and you can ask for a new process rather than asking what works for them. I mean, like I said, I'm not polished. They're going to come up with a bunch of fancy terms and run you guys in circles because that's what they get paid for, and sweet talk and pour honey in your ear. I don't have that ability. Neither will a lot of the other people that are going to talk tonight. But all I'm asking is stop making this government into a clown show and make it what it's meant to be. People vote you guys in. Start standing up for the people that vote you in, not for big business coming in, corporations that pour honey in your ear, and then you try to make it work for them. Government's supposed to work from the bottom up, not from the top down. So that's, I guess, where I'm at. I hope we get a lot more viewpoints tonight because, like I said, I'm not as polished as maybe some of these other guys, but that's come down to it. Please stop making this be a mockery, because I've heard it for 10 years. It was a game farm first. Well, we put conditions, it'll never be anything but a game farm. Well, here we are with a drug rehab center. It'll never be anything unless Troy's involved. Here we are working out conditions for them. Why even have conditions? Why have these meetings? I mean, it's getting so bad. Not one condition over the years you guys have said, you know what, no deal. You guys promised us this. You're not sticking up to your promise. We're shutting it down. It's always, what can we do to make it work for them? So please, for once, commissioners, planning, zoning, stand up for the people that are here voting you in, that are paying the taxes for 30, 40, 50 years, that know you. Because in 5 years, it'll be a different group of people. In the last 10 years, I don't know, what has it been? 4 or 5 different groups have owned this property and promised the world and come in, promised the world and never, every one of them skedaddled, and then the new group comes in and makes a bunch of promises, and then it's skedaddle, and we're stuck with it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak to this request? State your name and address, please.
My name is Jessie Evans, 1979 180th Street, Long Prairie, Minnesota. So I live right down the hill from this. I have been one of the biggest non-supporters of this from the get-go. So I have young children and I run a family childcare. Dean's got young kids, several other people have young kids in the neighborhood. I mean, would you guys want to have a 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 1-year-old, and then a house full of young kids with this right next door to you? I'm going to guess there's not a whole lot of you that are going to say yes. Again, Wisconsin, probably the cities, they're not anywhere close to this. There were conditions put on this so that this would not happen. When we went through this last time, it kind of felt like when this was shot down and this was supposed to be a done deal, we got our 3 minutes to talk or whatever it was, and each one of us was cut off. But the stipulations or these rules with Troy put on was so that there was structure to this. So he's done with it and we can just switch it over, because like Dean said, you guys are talking about what makes it work for them. Again, this is not supported by the community. I mean, it's something where none of us feel comfortable. I mean, I'm home all day long with my young children and several others, and I'm supposed to be afraid with this up the road. I think this is ridiculous, and I really think that we need to take the community into consideration. So, just my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Tom Evans, 1979 180th Street, Long Prairie, Minnesota. I feel the same way with my wife. You guys, it's always a circle. It never ends. It's been the same from the get-go. Once somebody new comes in, it's back to the same thing again. Let's amend it. Let's do this. Let's do this. You guys don't want to listen to the community around it that lives there forever. Thank you.
Third or the last time.
DJ Robinson, address 1389, 200 Street, Long Prairie. So
Please speak into the microphone so we can hear you.
my address is 1389, 200 Street, Long Prairie. So I just wanted to go and make sure everybody's aware of the commissioner meeting where Troy had said that there's going to be absolutely no detox going on at this facility. And here we are, and one of the buildings is set up for detox. It was supposed to be up north at a different facility up north, and that fell through. So I'd like to know where that ever came from, why we don't have, or why there's a detox now there, and there's not supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close it.
Motion by Brent, second.
I'll second that.
Clint, all's in favor? Greg?
Aye.
Clint?
Aye.
I'm aye. Brent?
Aye.
Aye. I myself is aye. So, as I stated earlier, we're not here to discuss the IUP that was granted in 2021. We're here to discuss these conditions, and that's what we're limiting our business here to tonight. So, anything else from the board? Well, then we'll get on with the vote, I guess. Question number one, the use will not put an excessive burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Well, there are no parks and schools in the vicinity, public utilities. It should be remain the same as it was when it was Autumn Antlers. The IUP has been in effect since 11/9 of 2021. They are coming into the licensing, they're going through the licensing phase at this point. So there shouldn't be any excessive burden on any roadways, utilities, and public facilities. Anybody else? Question two, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area. Greg?
I feel it's going to be a little bit of a burden on the neighbors. I don't know if this facility actually should be where it is, but I after hearing that and knowing a little bit about it, I don't feel it's in the wrong spot for that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Amy.
I just want to remind you that we're not voting on the actual use.
Yes.
We're voting on changing those conditions.
Conditions.
So the scope of this is very narrow.
Gotcha.
And so I just wanted to have you keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead,
I
Clint.
disagree a little bit with Greg, or agree with him, where it put a little more burden on what we're looking at is just a condition, so it's a change in from taking Troy off and that. And that's gonna put some more burden on the neighborhood and all that. But the thing is to realize when this was put on, I mean, it's probably a little earlier than we all thought, but he wasn't gonna be around forever. So I don't know, but I do think it's gonna put a little extra burden on the neighborhood because they're not gonna have that personal contact, and them types of things. But that's just how I feel, I guess.
Anybody else? Question C, the use, in the opinion of the Planning Commission, is reasonably related to the existing land use and environment, groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. Clint?
If we're looking at just the conditions and the changes we're doing, it don't matter what the name is or what changes on that, that's not gonna change anything on when we look at the groundwater or the surface water, any of that stuff, the air quality, just by changing a name or whatever.
Thanks, Clint. Anybody else? Question 4, the use is consistent with the purpose of the zoning ordinance and purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Brent?
Considering the zoning ordinance and the conditions of this IUP, it's pretty clear in number 3 that it will terminate when Troy Hoekstra is no longer part of or involved with Autumn Hills. And I view this as a way to circumvent the process. If he's no longer and this is to terminate, then it should terminate and it should go back and it should be a new IUP for whoever is going to apply for it. I don't think coming forward and just changing the people in here, I mean, we can change the names if nobody's involved there, but I don't think that's the intent of the ordinance, and I don't think that's the intent of the IUP when we set it up. So I'm not in favor of this.
Thanks, Brent. Anybody else? Question 4, the use is not in conflict with the comp plan or the water plan of the county. I guess we're looking at some conditions on this, and I guess the comp plan and the water plan of the county, the water plan is nothing's gonna affect the water plan. The comp plan is affected by it because it does promote business and that kind of stuff in Morrison County. So I do not believe the use is in conflict with the comp plan or the water plan of the county.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
May I ask one question of the applicant before you
Yes, go ahead.
vote? What is Troy's involvement right now?
Troy is still an owner.
Okay,
Of Long
so
Prairie
he is
Project
still involved,
Associates.
when is he transitioning out?
We don't have a definitive timeline. There's been discussions between Troy and the other, owners. So there's talks, but there's nothing like
Okay.
in writing yet.
And why isn't he here?
We've requested his presence. He decided not to come.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Anything else for anybody else? We'll go to the vote. The use will not put an excessive burden on roadways, utilities, public facilities such as parks and schools. I, George, is yes. Greg?
As it's stated in the question, I have to vote yes, because it's not burden on public roads and utilities, but.
Clint?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Question 2, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area. Greg?
I have to vote no, because I feel that their criteria was that this Troy was going to be the man to talk to, and if the residents talking, I feel I have to vote no, because it changed, my opinion, it changed everything.
Thanks, Greg. Clint?
No.
Brent?
No.
I, George, is no. The use, in the opinion of the Planning Commission, is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment, groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by proposed use. Clint?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
I, George, is yes. Greg?
Yes.
Question 4, the use is consistent with the purpose of the zoning ordinance and purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Brent?
No.
Hi, George is no. Clint? Or
No.
Greg, I'm sorry. Greg?
No.
Clint?
No.
The use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or water plan of the county. Hi, George is yes. Greg?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
So we have 2 of the questions that failed. I lost my sheet.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve, or recommend approval for this application.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the application. Do we need a second? I'll make a, go ahead, Brent.
I'll make the second to,
Second by Brent to approve the request. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the request. Greg?
No.
Clint?
Nay.
Aye, George is nay. Brent?
nay.
So the motion to recommend approval did not pass. Therefore, the recommendation of the County Board of Commissioners will be to deny this application. So that will be at the, what's the meeting date for the commissioners, Amy?
July 14th.
Right here. July 14th. Because the board meeting will be July 14th, 2026. Thank you.
Thank you.
George, can you sign my copy, please?
Yep. Jeez. Before it disappears in the paper pile? Okay. We have some new or old business. Amy?
Mr. Chair, I do not have either.
Very good. We have a set of minutes to approve from June 9, 2026. Motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that a motion.
Motion by Clint, second
I'll second
by
that.
Brent. Any discussion, corrections, or anything else? All in favor, Brent or Greg?
Aye.
Clint?
Yes.
I'm yes. Brent?
Yes.
Yes. Minutes are approved. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Greg?
Yes.
Motion. Clint?
Aye.
I'm aye. Brent?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.